GundamForums.com.
Hey everybody, Rob here from Rob's Gaming Network and Plum-Otaku, and today I'm here to bring you another look at the Master Grade 1100 Wing Zero Proto. In the last couple of videos we looked at the parts. We looked at the feet, the legs, the lower waist, the upper waist, the arms, and the shoulders. So today we have a couple of parts left to go. We've got the head, the backpack, the weapons, and the shield. So let's get started. So starting with the slightly dilapidated backpack, I've got half of it with a inner frame and half of it complete. It looks simple at first, but the mechanisms when you put this together are pretty clever, and I really like the design that Bandai Engineering used. So right off the bat, let's get this straight parallel. You can bend them in slightly, but when it's going to be connected to the back, you're never really going to be able to do that because stuff will be in the way. But you can move this back 90 degrees. Let's see if I can move it any further back. Not really. You might get 5 or 10 degrees inward, but I don't really see that ever being used. So you can bend these back 90 degrees, and one of the complaints that I do have about this kit is that, as you see here, the wings are back at a 90-degree angle, and you cannot pivot these wings forward. I'm trying my best here, and they will not pivot forward. So it's a disappointment because they could have went to the trouble either using something like a leg joint here with two halves to rotate this forward, or they could have done something a little more complex in the wing if they really wanted to, but I'm really disappointed because in the anime, he actually brings these wings forward and upwards in order to move forward in mobile suit mode. Anyways, if you look at the inner frame portion to this, and I'm sad there's not enough detail on the outside here, but I'm going to paint this up anyways. There's a clever mechanism underneath where there are two bars that are connected to each other. That way when you move one, the other one moves. So if you move these open, these will open at the same exact time because of that mechanism. And it sounds complicated, but it's honestly, I believe it's easier than the Master Grade Wing Gundam from 2010's wings to put together. And when you look underneath here, you're going to see a couple of parts. I wish it was a little more detailed, although if you want to scratch build some stuff, you can. At first, I thought the booster looked really nice, and then I've heard people say, oh, well, the friggin' booster looks like a toothpaste bottle. And I'm like, I kind of agree with that. So I've seen some people that are going to place aftermarket boosters on there, and that would probably be a good idea, but I'm going to probably leave my kit stock. I think it looks okay. It looks a little small and underwhelming, like it wouldn't be able to fully launch the mobile suit because of the weight, but, I could be wrong. I mean, these things are probably nuclear powered, so you can fold those back up, and you can make these out. Now, the backpack unit is pretty simple. From the anime version, I don't think this has really changed any, and I'm slightly disappointed that these booster units don't move forward and backwards, but I guess that's not a bad thing, because when they tend to do that, the boosters will fall off really easily. So looking at the outer armor, and there's one thing I need to warn you about, is these are inserted by two holes, and the pegs fit in the two holes. You need to be very careful taking these off, because although you can't see it on this one, on the other wing when I disassembled this to show the inner frame, I started to crack part of the plastic because it's so thin. You need to be very, very careful and use a hobby knife and a ton of patience to get this off properly. As you can notice, there aren't really a lot of panel lines, which some people may complain about, but I think is a plus because it adds to the curvature and the detail and the sleekness of this mobile suit. So this one will open just like the other one, and you can see the hinges there. That's kind of neat, actually. These diamond yellow thingies, I'm going to call them diamond yellow thingies here, kind of remind me of some of the designs from the Zelda games, specifically Skyward Sword. I think it looks good anyways. There's some detail underneath there that will be vents. I'm probably going to paint this underside gray, just because it kind of looks a little weird with that yellow shooting underneath up on the underside. You'll also get a little flap thingy here. I didn't really see any point to this, but I guess it's cool if you want a little additional detail. And really, it looks good, and it's going to look good in bird mode, and I can't wait to see that. Now, for the final part of the backpack, this backpack attachment is absolutely solid. I have had no problems with this falling out, and it just connects in there. You'll get a solid click, and this backpack will be like it's part of the upper torso. Now, what can I say about the head here, other than a couple of fit issues right off the bat? This head is full of win. Just like the Wing Zero Custom, you're going to have the dual cameras here, one up here, one up there. They're the same color. And if you flip this around to the back, you're going to have one back here. And something that Bandai did do that I'm very proud of them doing is that they took the clear acrylic pieces and actually painted them a clear green. And they did the same thing for the eyes here. That's fantastic. That saves me time and money going out and having to buy green paints to paint the stuff. Now, I don't have the eye sticker on right now, but it actually still looks pretty good. And if somebody can actually do some custom scratch building here, they could light this up, and that would look even better. Now, the head has lines in all the right places. I'm kind of disappointed that on the front here, these vents aren't pieces. There aren't pieces underneath them, but I guess it's really hard to pull off with something so tiny. The red chin looks awesome, and it actually comes up a little bit like it does in the anime. There are some lines here that you could, if you really have the patience, you can go in there and ink all of that. I'd complained a couple of seconds ago about there not being anything underneath. Well, there is some stuff underneath here right in front of the ear. And these panel lines are absolutely fantastic, and this is going to look really good. And if you notice on this side here, I've had, like I said earlier, I have some fit issues, and I'm going to have to try and iron those out. But they kind of look okay, but you see this, and you look on the other side, it's together, so I'm thinking, well, what the heck happened here? I'm sure that could be rectified with some work. And back here, this line, historically, sometimes I have filled that, and I'm not going to fill that because that's actually where the armor meets. This cap here looks pretty good, and one thing I really do want to salute Bandai for is there's detail on the back of the ears here. When I worked on my Master Grade Epion, I had painted the front, and I looked on the back, and I'm like, oh crap skis, there's detail on the back, so I had to go back and actually paint this. This just fits quite simply. It's just a ball joint that fits right on top of the neck, and you got yourself a head. The V-fin looks sharp. There isn't this retarded thing where I have to go and chop off the ends here. It's nice and sharp. Originally, when I looked at pictures of this head, I thought I'd have to sharpen the V-fin. And you can, but honestly, it looks fine the way it is. So it's just going to need a little bit of sanding. You just plop that on the front there. And kudos, Bandai. The head sculpt. I know it makes kits for SDs, but it looks fantastic. Great job. Surprisingly, I said a lot more than I thought I would this episode, so we're just going to end here with the backpack and the head unit, and in the next episode, we're going to go over the weapons.